Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, I want to share a lovely story with you all today before we start. Because on the podcast a few days ago, I asked Heather Kernahan from Hotwire Global the following question. I asked, some of the biggest names in business, VC funding, sports, and even entertainment have been known to listen to this podcast. Is there a person in the world or the US whom you would love to have a private breakfast or lunch with, and why? Now, Heather answered Jane Werwand, the co-founder of Dermalogica. And she told me why Jane was such a huge inspiration to her. So I did say, let's send it out into the universe and see what happens. And guess what happened? Jane Werwand heard about it and invited her to lunch. I mean, how cool is that? For anyone out there that needs to know the power of a conversation, of a story, and even a podcast, that is my answer right there. However, today I want to tackle how small retailers all over the world can get themselves online and compete with tech behemoths such as Amazon, all by using their greatest strength, the locality of their business. Yes, Amazon can deliver to you quickly, but what if that same item is available only 5 minutes away from your front door? Now, this is where a tech startup called Pointy is having great success, both on this side of the Atlantic and on the other side of the pond too. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Ireland so we can speak with Mark Cummins, CEO and co-founder of Pointy, which is a fantastic innovative piece of retail tech hardware that is now in the UK and in all 50 states in the US. And we'll also talk about it's just launched in Canada too. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
So I'm Mark Cummins. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pointy, and we're a startup that makes it very easy for local retailers to get all their inventory and products displayed online.
You really do, but before we actually go down that road, you've got an incredibly inspiring backstory that I want to explore as well. I mean, am I right in saying that you were the first person in the UK to actually sell a startup to Google? And when you sold your previous company, which I think was called Plink, which now makes up a huge part of Google image search. I mean, can you expand on that story? It's fascinating.
Yeah, well, I never like to overclaim things. So, I mean, yes, we were the first startup in the UK to be acquired by Google, and we did become part of Google's computer vision technology. People may have seen Google Lens, which is their product where you can take a photo of something and it'll tell you what's in the photo. Or more people might have used Google Search by Image, where you can drop an image into Google Images and find similar ones. Or Google Photos now, where you can sort of type in dog and it'll bring up your personal photos of your dog. Like, there are many different teams and people inside Google that contributed to all those things. So I definitely not want to say it's us, but we were an acquisition that became part of that technology stack. And that was we started that in 2008-9 in the UK. We sold it to Google in 2010. So then I spent 3 years working at Google on the computer vision team. That was a fantastic experience.
Excellent. Well, here you are now with something called Pointy, which is a startup that helps local retailers get their products online. And my understanding of it is retailers just plug in the Pointy device and then the complete contents of their store are displayed online automatically. But can you tell me a little bit more about it, what problems it solves for retailers, and also how it's being received by those retailers of all sizes?
Yeah, so a lot of retailers will have some very basic, some web presence. They might have a Facebook page, a Yelp profile. They might have, created a website for themselves, maybe a WordPress website. And some retailers will have a full e-commerce site. But if you think of your typical local retailer, like a pharmacy or a bike shop or a toy store, most of those sort of local retailers, especially the independent ones, don't really have a very, very thorough web presence. That you typically can't look up the store online and see, what's currently in stock in the store, for example. So their products tend not to be listed. And that's because they might have, a typical store might have 10 or 20,000 products in the store and they change them quite regularly. They go in and out of stock. So maintaining that online is just sort of infeasible for most retailers. And as a result, I think that they lose out on business. They may not even realize it, but people go to Google all the time and search for, where can I find some product? And if they're just seeing Amazon, they're more likely to buy it online, and the local stores are not going to get those purchases. Whereas if they see, oh, it's available, just around the corner, they might go and buy it locally. It might be more convenient, or they might like to talk to somebody and so on. So getting the store's products listed online is kind of, the key problem that we're trying to solve. And when we thought about this problem, we knew that it had to be really, really simple for the retailer, because the typical retailer, they don't have a lot of time. They certainly don't have a lot of budget. And so they need a way to do this. This is really, really seamless. So what we created is it's a device. So if you want to be fancy, it's an IoT device that connects to the barcode scanner in the store. So most stores have a barcode scanner, and they're scanning all their products every day as they make sales and so on. So what they do with our device is they plug their barcode scanner in sort of one side and out the other, basically. So our device is going to sit on the line between the barcode scanner and the point of sale. And when they scan something with the barcode scanner, we're going to recognize the barcode number and then put that product on a website that we're going to create and host for them. So they scan the product, and then that product with the name and the picture is going to appear online. And then we keep that up to date as they have new products coming into the store, old products leaving, whether or not the product is in or out of stock at a given time. So it makes it absolutely seamless and easy for the store to get a web page that lists everything they sell. And then we make sure those pages do well in SEO, so they come up in search engines when people are searching. And we also plug into advertising tools like AdWords, where they can start to promote themselves to local shoppers who might be searching for relevant products. So it's a very low friction way. Like typically takes a retailer a few minutes to set up, and they just sort of can leave it, set and forget in a sense. And then it'll just bring in a few more customers over time. So it's it's an easy way for them to start reaching local shoppers who might otherwise not even know that they had what they wanted.
I love how you're helping local businesses there who are typically not going to be tech savvy. You make it incredibly easy for them to get online and actually compete with things like Amazon, because it's got that local aspect to it. But how does this retail tech hardware actually work as well? Can you just help listeners visualise how it would work in a real-life scenario in a local store that's probably sat down the road from them?
So it's a very small device. It's about the size of like a matchbox or some deck of cards or something like that. And what it does is it connects to basically the cable coming out of the barcode scanner. So most stores have a barcode scanner of some kind. So it might look a different shape or different size, but they've all got a cable coming out the back. And so they just plug that cable into our device, so sort of in one side and out the other. And it just goes back into they plug back into the point of sale as they normally would. So our device, basically just the Pointy box, we call it, is just sitting there connected to the barcode scanner. And it's got a built-in internet connection in the Pointy box. So whenever a barcode gets scanned in the store, the Pointy box is going to link that barcode up to their website. It's going to send that away and say, this website should have this product listed. So they're going to have a Pointy page. So it might be, our first user was a bike store called Donnybrook Bikes. So if Donnybrook Bikes scans a bike helmet, and it's a blue helmet with green stripes, then they're going to scan that product with the barcode scanner, and then that product is going to appear with the picture and the description on their website straight away.
So if we've got a bike store, somebody running a bike store listening to this show now, and it's probably the younger generation thinking, this is exactly what we need to bring our business into the 21st century and get it online. How much would it cost to get the typical business set up? Is there a ballpark figure you can share with me?
So we try and make it very low cost. So there's a like a one-off or a one-time fee to set up, which is, well, in the US, it's $299. We're actually just about to raise the price this week, so people should get it soon if they want. It's going up to, I believe, $499 for the setup charge. And then after that, there's no charge. So it's free to be on the platform. There's no recurring fee, which sort of differentiates us a lot from a lot of other players. And I mean, there are some premium services people can use when they're on Pointy if they want to. For example, they can run an ad campaign through us and spend some money that way. And so that gives us some ongoing revenue, but it's completely optional. So there's just a one-time fee to get set up. And after that, it's free to use.
Now, you just mentioned there, obviously, you're serving the US market, and I know we're talking to you in Ireland at the moment. Can you just tell me a little bit about what markets you're serving at the moment? Because we do have listeners in over, I think, 165 countries. So I'm just curious at how far your reach is spreading at the moment.
So we're currently launched in the US, Canada, the UK, and Ireland. And as you say, the company is actually based in Ireland. So, but the majority of our users at this point are in the US. So we're in about 3,500 retailers. So for context, about 10,000 retailers would be about 1% of the US. So it's really a pretty substantial number of retailers at this point, and growing very quickly. So we found that retailers just respond very well when they hear it. I mean, it solves a sort of problem for them in a very easy way. And so luckily we found that it's been getting a really, really great reception.
Excellent. So what are your biggest challenges or equally opportunities right now for Pointy?
I mean, I think the interesting thing is that the retail market is, I think, at this sort of sink or swim moment, or this sort of balance point. Like 90% of retail is still taking place in brick and mortar stores, right? And that's like, so e-commerce has grown from 0% to 10% over the past 20 years. But e-commerce is now growing quite quickly. So it's 90, like normal retail, brick and mortar retail is 90% now. In 10 years, it'll probably be 80%. So the kind of e-commerce is accelerating. And I think it's, for brick and mortar retail, it's a sink or swim moment where I think they need to adapt because more and more people are expecting to be able to find things online, but it's a big challenge for them. So I think the sort of opportunity and the challenge for us is to try and help local retailers, get online and capture that demand and follow the changing consumer behavior before it's too late. So that's kind of the bet that we're making and what we're trying to do. But it's a very fluid moment, I would say, in retail right now.
Yeah, I think I've got to ask, do you have any funny or interesting stories that have happened to you since you began your tech startup journeys?
There's one good one. So when we launched it initially, I went. It was very, very early days. I went on a radio show, and we decided we'd sort of kickstart things by doing a giveaway of the devices. So I announced on the radio that we give away, I think it was 100 devices to the first people who called up to get them. And so, the phone rang off the hook, and there were people emailing us, and it took us probably a week to sort through all the people who'd signed up for a free device. And when we went through them, it was like a fire station had signed up, and a school had signed up, and we rang them up and we're like, this is for shops. Like, why are you? I just heard the word free, and they wanted this. That was the fire station in particular. They just sort of said like they really liked the idea, so they thought they'd sign up.
I love it. As soon as anybody hears the word free, they're straight in there, aren't they? So what's the best piece of advice that you could pass on to someone listening to us now who are just at a various stage of their first startup? What kind of advice would you pass down to them?
Well, I mean, firstly, I would say make sure you're doing something you really love and believe in, because startup journeys are long and they're very, very hard. I mean, it's really, really quite a difficult journey with lots of ups and downs. So make sure you're doing something that you like 1,000% believe in and love. But in a sort of tactical advice, I would say obsess about your product. Make sure that it's really, really polished. And I think the best teams, the ones that deliver the most interesting startups, are ones that really obsess about the product and get it right. I think be very thoughtful and careful about how you build your team, because your first hires are really going to shape the whole culture of the company. And so be very, very, very careful about your first hires and who you have around you, because, ultimately everything is about the people, really. And finally, I would say, also choose your investors carefully. I have seen, I don't think an investor is going to make your business work. I mean, ultimately you're going to make it work, but certainly a bad investor can harm your business. So make sure that you have, good, trustworthy investors who aren't going to, mess you around. So, yeah.
Excellent advice. And you are enjoying incredible success at the moment. But what are the big goals for Pointy over the next 18 months? And is there anything else you can share with us today about Pointy?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we always work on developing the product, and we have some quite exciting launches coming up for new features, which unfortunately we're not quite ready to announce, but will soon. And then, I mean, other than that, really, I mean, there's 1 million stores in the US, there's another 1 million stores in Europe. We just want all of them to use Pointy. So we're going to...
Excellent. I do love a good teaser there, so we'll have to get you back on in 6 months. But before I do let you go, can you remind the listeners of where they can find you online, and also contact your team if they've got any questions about our conversation today?
Yeah, we're very easy to find. So it's pointy.com, pointy.com. There's a phone number on there if you want to ring us, or you can email us. There's live chat. We're very easy to talk to. So I think that's actually one of the things that's really been a surprise for a lot of retailers, that we're open to people just talking human being to human being, which a lot of internet businesses are not so easy to reach. So we spend a lot of time talking to people on the phone.
Well, I love the simplicity of how any retailer of any size can just plug in this Pointy device, because I think the best technology works when it's almost invisible and just works in the background. And just to have their complete contents of their store and have it displayed online automatically, and by competing with big behemoths like Amazon and things, is just priceless. So a big thank you for coming on and sharing that story with us today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Another great story there that started with Mark being the first person in the UK to sell a startup to Google when he sold that previous company, Plink, which now makes up a huge part of the Google image search. But that was just the beginning of his story. I mean, local businesses and retailers have often been pushed aside in this age of convenience. So for that reason alone, I love what Mark is doing here with Point. Many small retailers are not tech savvy, and all tech solutions should really be easy to use and almost invisible. They should just solve a problem, and quickly. And that's what Pointy seems to do, so I wish him and his team the best for the future. But as for you guys listening, have you had any experience with Pointy? Have you used it? Have you seen it in action? Do you have any questions for your friendly podcast host? Or would you like to record a voicemail for episode 500? Or simply send me a photo of where you listen to the show and let me see the world through your eyes. Suffer in silence no more, people. You can email me at techblogwriter@outlook.com or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. But that's it for today, I'm afraid, so a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.